What's up, everybody? I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and you are at another live. That's right, it is Sunday, the 9th of August, 2026, and it is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because every Saturday and Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we go live. Saturday is educational real-time examples, and Sunday is the Write a Book with Me from concept to completion. We have been writing a book from the start, showing it on the screen, showing you my process, showing you behind the scenes, but most importantly, allowing you a chance to ask questions and get involved. And maybe you're like, hey, what is this about? And that's the whole point about these lives, is an opportunity for us to have a conversation. And since I'm a developmental editor and a writing teacher, it's basically free advice. Let's get to the room and say hello to everybody. We got Sean is here to stay. Oh, what's up, Sean? All right. The bunny is. Hey, how's it going? Everything's going all right, my friend. We are going to try to do at least a million words today. That's the goal. Oh, Thomas, what will we ever do? That's right. The poll today is a difficult one. I don't ever let people think I don't listen to the audience. I heard you, and I made a poll yesterday for everyone, and then I heard you again, and I made a new poll. Today's poll is very telling, by the way. It's based on a psychological test that I made up completely from scratch in my brain that has no scientific evidence whatsoever, but the one you choose does nothing. It does not tell me anything about you at all. All right. Hey, if we weren't distracting you, I'm sure you'd be done with the first draft a long time ago and into revisions. Well, I wouldn't say revisions per se, but yeah, maybe. I'm sure too. It's all about the fingers and the wrists. Yeah, today we are writing a book from concept to completion. How you doing, Sean? Okay, I'm good. It's Ashley. By the way, all seriousness, everyone, sending love to Cindy, her family, and anyone who's being affected by the fires. I know that Sundays and Saturdays are supposed to be where we come together and we can kind of sort of like forget about the week, but there are real things going on out there, and we never want anyone to be getting hurt or dealing with a terrible, terrible situation. So, all the love out there, all the love. Hey, Ashley, I've got family, and again, we are sending much love out there for you. The poll is a good one. I agree. This makes me really happy. I'm so glad that you really loved Afghani's book. If you don't know out there, anybody who's watching, his link is in the description under Gene. What is it? He uses a pen name. It's I'm sorry. It's Gene Edwardson, and he writes sci-fi. Very, very good stuff. Very good stuff. Hello, Ashley. Hey, it's the one and only Emma. Yes, they should. What's up, Bella? All right. Hey, Emma. We're going to get right to the writing soon, right after I write all these writes and say hello. I really need to read Afghani's work. I'm missing out. It's definitely some good stuff. The Emster. The... Got family, NBC, and friends. Evacuation orders. Wow, 21,000 people. Yeah, it's just terrible. But I'm glad that they're getting out of there. The first season is bad this year. We live in... Oh, you're dealing... Yeah, Ashley, so much love to you and your family. I know you got little ones. I really hope Nevada and got evacuated last night. I hope you're safe, and I hope everyone you know is safe, because remember, the things we have, yeah, it's terrible that we lose it, but it's better we live, and if you can get out of there, man. I'm sending so much love to you guys. Thank God my aunt didn't live to see this. I'm going to assume that's the fires and not the lives. Those fires, they're so scary, They are so bad. We have SB. Afghani was singing some praise to you. I don't know. Everyone's saying they love your stuff. And I did another shout out for you and your book in the descriptions. Always a pleasure to support you, my friend. What we got here? I still failed. I failed. We love you. I was watching a Left Behind movie called Left Behind World at War, but I'll go back to watch it after this. I appreciate you giving us the time over the thing. Do a poll on what genre we're writing. Ooh, all right. I'll do that. I'll do that next week. Let's put that here. I'm gonna put a note. Poll idea. What genre are you writing? I was just trying to have fun this weekend because you know me, I like to change things up sometimes. I like to change things up. That's a good one though. S to the B is here. Hello, F. It's funny. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. Most of the fires were started by a person from Arizona, and he got arrested last week. Hells yeah. Hells yeah to that crap. I hope there's a second book. This one was more fantasy, I thought, but I loved it. I loved it. I hope Afghani writes books forever. Hello, Chris. There will be a second book, but may take a while. I'm working on another right now. I want another! Okay, let's get into it. If you're new here and have never, ever been... Oh, wait. I'm sorry. One last thing. The poll. We have the poll today. Which do you choose today? We have the first, number 1, I choose number 3. Number 2, I choose number 4. Number 3, I choose number 2. And of course, number 4, none of the above. Feel free. Again, it is not a psychological test. It is not a psychological test. All right. Yeah, there were 4 12-year-olds arrested for starting fires in England. Not sure where. Well, glad they were arrested. Man, when people go out of their way to hurt other people, I just don't understand. Like, if you want to make fun of people, have fun at it. You know, because you could just be like, me. Like, I got made fun of a lot in school, you know, and I just took it. Sometimes I would just throw it right back at them, you know, and that's the way I got my sense of humor. But at the end of the day, once you do the fisticuffs, once you get into the violence, once you get into the physical hurting, that's when I'm like, hey, buddy. I have to admit, my husband was right in wanting to buy this camper because it's not only been a lot of fun, but it came in handy to evacuate. Everyone is safe. I'm so glad everyone's safe. And kudos. Let's give the husband an applause for being on the Let's Buy the Winnebago. Hey, I'm glad we've got ours. I would like to help but don't want to stress resources. Yeah. You got to be careful with your resources. All right, we're gonna get into it soon. Good morning. Hey, what's up, Ghost Productions? What poll is this for today? And I am on chapter 5. I was thinking I wanted to do the blah 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 second draft. Hey, keep it up, keep it going. Always proud of you. Always proud of you. What we got here? You just want us to choose none of the above now that you've given us the choice. Clever, very clever. I'm like the Raptors. Very clever girl. I'm working on some outlining and character work for my mystery today. That gets me excited. Big applause to you. All right. If you've never been here before and you don't know what the deal is, or remember, we are writing a book in real time. I am doing it all through my process. That's right. This is the Thomas J. Bellezza process. Now, I'm not saying this is the right process. I'm saying this is my process. I'm showing you behind the curtains. And if you have questions, if you want to learn how to do it or what's going on, this is really the series to watch. We've already done the first 9 steps, and we are currently on the first draft, which is prose, dialogue, immersion. Now, to be fair, dialogue is just to get information out, and immersion, it's here and there. I don't really put a lot of stuff in it. It's the second draft where I do the deeper immersion where I go in. But anyway, we are getting into it. We are working on chapter 4. The reason it says 4-9 is because technically this is now chapter 9. Again, if you've never seen the series, basically we started out where I tried to make a chapter fit into one plot point because we're using the 27 plot point outline. But as I worked on the 0 draft, it expanded and extended into more than one chapter per plot point for some, not all. And then while I was writing the first draft, I decided that I needed to break up and expand chapters themselves. So we did that with chapter 1, 2, and 3. So chapter 4 is technically the 9th chapter now. So we're getting into it. I'm on chapter 3 of the novella, but the story will go all over the place if I don't outline. You know. Agreed. By the way, I'm not a stickler for outline. Like, if people are like, I'm a pants, I'm like, hey, have at it. Like, I don't think any less of the pantsing. I do also believe there's no such thing as solely pantsing and solely outlining. I think there's a combination. I think all plotting, plotter, pantser, it's all discovery because we don't really know the story fully until we start putting the work into it. I saw Patti LaBelle for the first time last night. That's awesome. She's 82. Holy, what happened? I remember her from the 80s. From the 80s. From the 80s. Ooh. From the 80s. Boom. Boom, boom. What'd she sing? Like On My Own, If Only You Knew. Right? Stuff like that. Lady Mama Dove. Something like that. Mama Dove. Great stuff. Great singer. I wrote another scene yesterday. Too funny. That makes me happy. I'm really happy. I kind of want to make Laura Olivia a cameo appearance in a futuristic story I'm working on. It has intermediate travel, so hey, do it up, sir. Do it up. Just remember, she's an alien and not human, or she could be whatever you want. It's all made up. That'd be a lot of fun though. That'd be funny. M Mystery is supposed. Oh wait. Okay. And mystery is supposedly notoriously difficult to write, which I don't disagree. It is very hard a genre. I agree with that. I agree with that. I am writing a noir currently, and making sure everything connects is the thing. I just don't have enough characters currently to drive the conflict which I'm seeking. I have my villain, and MC figured out. Side characters are lacking, lackadaga. You just got to keep at it, man, and keep working on it. You know, as you this is really the thing. If you don't have side characters figured out yet, it's a real great tool or freedom, I should say. That ultimately, as you develop your story, create the characters, these side characters, to help elevate the story you're trying to tell, and then when you go back and do your first, second, third, or fourth draft, you can go and say, "Oh, let me add these characters that I created for this and put them into the earlier stuff." Now she's the 80s. Hey-oh! My idea for mystery has to have an invite go to an inspector to come to a party. He refuses. Last invite is a dorama with a body in it. Ooh. He goes and finds out he is the target. Oh, that's really cool. That's cool. Definitely make that. That's good. My first draft of Christian violence, so if I get to chapter 6 in my second draft, I'll be caught up. All right, I got to get to the writing. So now with his friends, he goes over past events to figure out who is going to kill him. I would say it's obviously his grandma. All right, let's get into it. Oh, I did write some for this chapter already. Oh. All right, where are we at? Laura continue working on the ship, doing diagnosis. Oh, yeah. She's relieved. Okay. All right. I feel like crate and barrel. No, that's right. Mhm. Oh, yeah. Problem if he stops, then they will try again. If he fails, he is dead. I like that. I like that. High stakes, high stakes. Yeah, I try to build my characters via association. So, like, powerful characters, for example, would have lawyers and soldiers, but. Oh, but. But for lower class characters, they have, like, thieves. But. Very cool. Very cool. For example, get it out. Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see it. All right, let's do this. And now he's dead. Mansa tossed his hands up in the air, walking away. So who's got the connection to sell the item? How can they be so callous? Callous? Drink some water, trying to get the taste of dry death. I don't know. I know a guy who knows a guy. Great. So now, okay. Um, so this is an example of like it's a first draft. So this is fine for me. Oren took out a device and pressed some of the buttons. I should be callous. Let's go back. Thank you, sir. I'm really bad at spelling. Callous? How can he be so callous? So this kind of sentence here is good for first draft for me because it just gets out like the movement, like what is supposed to happen. Because remember, plot is what needs to happen no matter what. But when I get back to this, based on how I build on the characters and I really kind of like learn who they are, this is all going to change and it's going to go a little deeper. Great. So now what? We contact my guy, get paid, and split it in 2 ways. Fine, whatever. A log. Great. We just need to get safe on a planet. There's no spending what you steal if you're dead. All right, Laura, continue working on the ship doing diagnostics. Well, the gang talked about everything. When I come back, add more diagnostics. Okay, yeah, I gotta add more of that. All right, so I kept to myself. The image of G3 sucked. It screams the pain in his eyes as his body liquefied into the vacuum of space. I'm never going to get... Never. These people are gonna kill me. Gonna kill me. Shaking my head. I fought the sleep growing on me. It's not been a long travel with my body. I sleep, but I can't sleep. What's one of your favorite characters you've created, Thomas? I have several, but one of my favorite is a character named Vargas. He's in book 2 of the Maven War Saga. So Death of a King is book 1, and then there's going to be a second book. It's in the works. Vargas is definitely up there, but I have so many. I have Darian. I love Darian. I love Rodair. Rodair is in the second book too. There's a character called Azagoth. I know, right? He's in a later book. I like that character. I like Maven. Maven is the main antagonist. I really like Devious because I like that he is he's at the end of the day, he is the hero. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the good soul. He's the one that has a strong moral barometer, but it's tested so much that he's always being forced to sort of move that moral barometer, just a little bit more and a little bit more. So I like playing with that. But at the end of the day, I really like writing Darian. I really enjoy Vargas is probably my favorite character. However, Rodair is probably going to become my favorite character because every time I work on him, I'm just like, this character's so awesome. I love this character. He's so cool that I have a book that is based on the past. Because I liked another character, and I was like, I want to write this guy's story, this character's story. And I put Rodair in that book because Rodair's old, and I was like, yeah. Oh yeah, Sean likes Yards. You know what's funny? When I first wrote the book, when I was writing the Zero draft, Yarzy was sort of like a handoff character, where he was the one that just trained the fledglings, but like. He was just a stepping stone because the original book was the original 5 books for the Devious series. For Devious is POV, was only one book long. So Yarzi was like maybe 3 chapters. But even in the zero draft, and I would argue the first draft, so many people like Yarzi that I expanded him. So when I had the alpha readers reading it, so many people were like, Yarzi's, we love Yarzi. I gave him more depth. I went deeper into his story. I added him to more chapters. So yeah, no, Yarzi's really great. Yarzi is a fun character because he's like that. He's wise, but he's not like the wise mentor. He's very much the trainer. He's the Varone. That's a fun way to do character development. Put characters who have a zone of comfort and just throw them into. Well, yeah, I mean that is ultimately, at the end of the day, when you're writing, anytime you hear somebody talking about the process of writing and narrative building, and they say challenge, that's all it is challenging their positions. Whether their position is based on their morality or their position is based on their culture or their lifestyle. For example, let's say in a fantasy world, their culture demands that they only eat vegetables, right? And they grew up only eating vegetables. And now they're 30 years old and they're traveling and they get to a place where there's no vegetables. There's only meat options. And at the end of the day, if they eat meat, it's, their culture says that this is in a fantasy world. The culture says if you eat that meat, it's bad for your soul, and you might not go to wherever the afterlife is. And now they're hungry. So like it's interesting to challenge where they stand, and because remember, all positions at one point or another will either change completely, somewhat, or not at all. If it doesn't change at all, the character actually doubles down on their belief on that position. If they change completely, it isn't a black and white thing. It's not like I like blue and now I don't like blue. It's that they like a different color. Like they found enough evidence to be like, what, purple's actually my favorite color. That would be changed completely. If it's somewhat, they go, what, I really love blue, but there's nothing wrong with purple. Stuff like that. But yeah, I've always been a fan of going, who is this character, and how do I put them in positions or situations where they get challenged. Please don't get so large you can't finish. Well, the series itself, I'm flying through it. So the 5 books for Devious's POV, I'm flying through that. I'm currently writing the second book, but the third book is outlined, has the extended outline, and the 4th and 5th book are outlined. I promise I will not get so big. When I talk about like other books and stuff like that, those are like books I want to write once the series is sort of done and I'm slowly releasing the series. And while that's being released, I could have these other books I'm writing that sort of like expand the world. But there is another series that's coming out after the Devious one, which I'll do the same thing. I'll write the 5 books and then release them all. I don't want to physically release the books until all 5 books are done. One of my favorite characters wasn't even in my original brain dump. I needed somewhat of a push for my FMC, and it developed a secondary character that my friends loved. Yeah, that's so great when that happens. It really is. Because sometimes you're just like, I need a foil. I need a character that shows and elevates and accentuates, my MC's traits and like, what's good, what's their flaws and their positives. And then that character's so interesting because you don't put a lot of time in them in the beginning that people really love them. One of the things about Darian, again, from Death of a King, this doesn't spoil anything, but I just don't give a lot away. There's just so much, I'm going to use the word mystery, not in like, but I purposefully did not allow Darian to be quote unquote exposed, and I think that really helped people like Darian as a character. And I do like going into who characters are and their backstory, but I don't like to just sort of do dumps. I like it to evolve over relationships. But at the end of the day, there are certain characters that really benefit from mystery, that benefit from not really going into it. But again, when you're writing in a character, everyone loves him. It's like, all right, maybe I should lean a little bit into this character because the character's working. However, I did have one of my closest friends. He was like, it's crazy. If Darian had his own book, it might not be good because Darian feels good as a part of an ensemble. Yeah, I like using social classes as a way to play with conflict, like having a rich villain and taking everything away from them. That's cool. Or giving the hero a way to climb up the ladders in the world. I like that too, right? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah, very good. Very good choices. Very good choices. Do the chapters have to have a word count for the draft? What? Do the Cassidy, could you re-ask that question? I don't necessarily understand. I mean, on the surface, do the chapters have to have a word count for the drafts? I think chapters would just have word counts just because you wrote it. I but I think you're asking something else, and I just want to make sure that I understand what it is. Bioshock is one of yeah, Bioshock. It's one of my favorite games, and the social class is one of my favorite elements in that game. Yeah, yeah, it's some good stuff that game. One of the same things happened with a detective character I had. He was like a conflict-driven driver for earlier drafts, but he became one of my favorites in the rewrites, and he was a side character. I mean, it happens. It happens. We really do just explore, and it's like, oh, this is the character. All right. Okay, where are we? 30 minutes. What I get? I got like no words in. All right. They're not even paying attention to me standing over there talking among themselves, arguing. What could they be fighting about? Computer, I whispered in. Hmm. Translate what they're saying. My translator shifted over a few. Oh, wait, that would be a new movement. All right. By the way, if no one knows what a movement is, the focus or intent of this piece is computer. I whispered into my headset, translate what they're saying. So the focus is to activate the translator talking to the computer. This becomes its own movement or passage because now the focus is on the translator actually doing the thing. So if anyone, let me rephrase the question: should I do word counts for my chapter drafts? Uh, Again, I don't necessarily know what you're asking. If I'm going to answer that on its surface level, should I do word counts for my chapter drafts? Chapters have word counts. They automatically have the word count. But if you're asking, should you keep track of your word counts? I personally believe you should. It helps you sort of visually see how chapters are working and if some are too big or too small. Greetings and salutations. I hope everyone is having a good day. What's up, my friend? I really like Aaliyah and her cohort in crime. Oh, Reiner? I can't remember his name. Yeah, Reiner. Reiner was another character that sort of started off a little smaller. No pun intended. He's a stout fella. And I sort of I sort of expanded him a lot. I really like the Reiner character now, as far as like who he is. Yeah. Yes, that's what I'm asking. All right, yeah, absolutely. Keep track of your word count. All right. Me. The idea was in and out. The idea was in and out. Go back, computer. Said leaning closer to my mouthpiece. Let's see. My translator shifted to broke up into different languages. Me. I do. Boop. You said you had an out, Mansa. You said you had an out. Just do that. Remember, in a first draft, don't worry about the prettiness of it. Just get out physical. I'm not really a fan of choreography. You know, that's what this is. This is just choreography. You know, he leans on the thing. He walks in. But in a first draft, I do it because I'm trying to just get the physicality and the emotionality of the characters out, and then when I get to the second draft, that's when I get to actually play with the deeper emotions. The deeper emotions. All right. I did, but G4 getting killed on sight wasn't part of the plan. This was my little nod to adding to the group because I wanted more people in the group, but I felt like on writing the first draft, I realized there's too many gang members, so just 3 would be good. Then you had a backup, right? I'm assuming you decided better. G3 was the backup, and now he's dead, man. It's like, how can they be so callous? I'm trying to get the taste. Dang, glad he's dead. Glad I. Okay, all right. She continued to click the buttons needed to make sure the ship. I really have to add this. All right. Going through the log process of the, I don't know, whatever. All right. So here's something to keep in mind. So I do this in the fantasy too. When I'm writing the first draft or the second draft, I'll sort of just write like a general line. And to me, pressing buttons and going through the log process of the diagnostics doesn't necessarily say anything. This is known as writing abstract because it's just sort of like, it's just a thing, right? When I get to my second, especially my third draft, that's when I get a little bit more specific. For example, there's a chapter that I was working on for something else, and ultimately it basically started off with, you know, the character being frustrated and sort of anxious because they're waiting for something specifically to be done. So when I came back to rework it, and I got to my third draft, what I did was I actually opened the scene with more immersion. I opened it with more sensories. I built the room a little bit. Not that I described the room, but I built the smells of the room. I organized what the other character was doing that was making the POV anxious. And then I slowly leaked the POV's anxiousness into the scene, and I sort of built from there. So something like this, when I come back into my second or third draft, this will be explained. Maybe I'll describe the colors. Maybe I'll have the computer respond and tell Laura Olivia what is wrong with the ship, etc., etc. You have to always remember, you don't have to go into specifics in the first draft. You can if you have it, but if you don't, you don't. The other thing is, I want to maybe do a little research on what the computers would do. Like, what are some things, you know, spaceships would tell us? What are the diagnostics that a spaceship would do? And then I would take that and sci-fi it. I would go, all right, how do I go a little further than that? Yeah, exactly. The techno babble. You know, that's the magic of sci-fi, is like you get to play with technobat. It's like casting spells. You know, in fantasy, I say magic words. You know, I don't expect anyone to know how to pronounce any of it. You know, because I'm you know, but that's the fun part of the sci-fi. Makes me think of the Nostromo and Alien, one of my favorite space. Oh yeah. That's a great movie. All right. I don't need to write that. Okay. I just don't feel like writing all that out right now. It's not important. And a great screenplay. It is a great screenplay. All right, let's keep it going. Weep. Keeps breaking up, so she's missing details, but getting the gist. Talks about the heist. Oh, we did that already. All right. What is it? What is it? What is it? All right. All right. Right off the bat, I know this feels weird, so I'm gonna remove it. It feels weird there. Why are they talking about this? I think I need something a little bit more interesting. But anyway, all right. The gang talks about the heists, where they're at in the plan. We already went over that. And getting them to Mantis says that once they're done, they are done. Oh, yeah, let's get into that. And seed what they stole and who they stole it from. They're speaking in the gang language. Okay. This I want to get to. What's the premise of the novel? Is it the one where she evacuates from Earth? Are you talking about Alien, the book Alien? This book specifically is just um, there's a gang. They stole stuff and then they hijacked her and her ship, and she basically got sent off the planet. And ultimately, what happens is the ship crashes on a new planet. They take off. She runs into the city basically, and she starts trying to find work so she could save up money to rebuild, fix her ship. The ship actually ends up getting taken by the authorities. They realize it's a ship that's connected to this theft, and yeah, this is what I figured. No one, yeah. And at the basically, she ends up, the earlier videos go over this, but basically, she gets arrested for the crime. She goes to a prison, which is technically Act Two. So the prison is Act Two, and then ultimately it's all about her and Manser working out a deal with the warden, and they'll bring in the real criminals, etc., etc., etc. It's really just about her getting home. But I based it loosely on the idea of this movie called I think it's a $10 bill film, right? Yeah, $10. Is it $10 bill? What is the movie that follows a $20? Oh, $20. It's called $20. Such a good movie. And it basically follows a $20 bill around. And that's basically what I was doing. I was like, what would it look like if the ship was the $20 bill? So the ship basically, gets us to her home. She gets off. She's okay. She's a transporter. They take the ship. It brings her to another planet. She has to deal with that planet. And the ship gets taken away, and she has to go get the ship. And then she takes the ship. So it's always connected to the ship. So the location's always connected to the ship. Spending if you're dead. All right. Glancing over to me. All right. Me, 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 me. All right. Again, I don't know who Manser is really yet. I'm still trying to discover his voice. So I'm just sort of doing these like dialogue beats. Also, Manser, Orn. So then we can do Manser, Orn, Manser. That's fine. The next one I have to. Anyway, I'm not really putting a lot of time and effort into the dialogue, as you can see. I'm just sort of like getting through the plot elements and my notes. And then as I develop the characters, I can create subtext in this. I can create behavior, so you can really play with it. We're done because he doesn't want to do the job. All right. But it's really because he's going to make more money. Okay. I actually have to keep this note here for myself. All right. What was it, 44 minutes in? All right. Again, if you have any questions about writing in general, your own writing, If what I'm doing brings up questions, feel free to ask. Don't think it's going to be distracting me. I do this so we can have a conversation, and so I can get you thinking about writing. Writing. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. All right. Also, I lost 2 subscribers. What's the deal? All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. All right, okay, 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 okay. Now, this comes off more like just pure exposition. Remember, the first draft, just get the exposition out, just whatever. And then you could turn them into moments. You know what I'm saying? In fact, if I really wanted to, I could just have them being like, blah, 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 and just have like a chunk, like just a huge block of writing, of dialogue. But my goal in a second or definitely a third draft would be to take that block. Like if the dialogue looked like this, there's nothing wrong with that in a 0 or first draft. But when I come back to it, my job is to say, how do I break this up? Do I need all this information right now? Let me create a position argument, whatever the case is, okay? What's the hardest plot movement you've had to write? Like interweaving plot lines. Act 3 is so fun to write once you get all the pieces. Dominoes falling in the right order. Ooh, I choose drugs. What's up, Ben? What's the hardest plot movement you've had to write? Are you talking about the 27 plot point outline? Are you talking about just plot in general? Are you talking about a book I've written? What's the hardest plot movement you've had to write? Like intertwining plot lines. No, just in general in your stories. Oh, all right, all right. Like battle scenes. No, battle scenes are easy. It's just you just got to connect the emotional truth to the battle scenes. What's at stakes? What's the urgency? You know, who's going to get hurt? Who's not going to get hurt? Who's going to die? Those are fairly easy. But all right, so what's the hardest plot movement I've had to write? In the you know what it is? I wouldn't say it's so much hard. It's just it's just I normally start off really small. Like the plot is usually very basic. This needs to happen, then this needs to happen, this needs to happen. And like getting that out is once I have the short form outline set up, adding the other character stuff becomes fairly easy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like slipping stuff into the main narrative. For example, right now, the actual robbery is not the main narrative. The actual narrative, the plot is Laura Olivia gets hijacked and ends up in prison, and then she has to get out of prison and get her ship and get home, right? But this is a subplot. So right now, I'm not really putting a lot of thought into it. I don't have a lot of details for it, right? And I'll slowly build on that. The thing about that is, as I get closer and closer to the end of the book, I'm going to be building on this secondary plot. I like to call them sub-arcs. And it'll influence how I go back to the earlier chapters, and I'll expand on it, clean on it. The other thing is Manser's secondary, his sub-arc, is that he stole another item that they don't know about, and he plans to make more money on that. So that's technically 3 subplots I'm working with so far. And then there's the, Laura's family, which is a flat arc. Technically, it's an arc, right? Because we established they have a family. You know what I've got? 1 second. I'm gonna finish the question. Is the Remember to add more about the guy who is knocked out in the ship. All right, I might have to take that guy out. I don't know. So again, when it comes to the hardest plot movements, they're so simple at the beginning that I sort of work them out, but with simple sentences before I even get into the complexity of it. Though back in the day, when I didn't outline, the hardest one was probably for the first book I ever wrote, honestly, because there's like 17 plots that are like fairly strong, 17, 18 ish. There's the main character who is, maybe possessed. There's the secondary character who is getting beaten, and she ends up having a baby in the prison, and that's a plot. And the guy who runs the prison ends up raising the kid over the whatever it is 10 years that they're in prison. And then there's like a secondary like divine being or like a powerful being that like there's just so much going on because I just didn't understand restraint. So maybe that would be before I realized, wait a minute, simmer down. I had to learn how to simmer down. I made it to chapter 6. The hardest part for me is to make the reader care about the characters before the ship hit. Oh, the ship hits the fan. Yeah, no, that is definitely hard. For any advice on that, ultimately what your goal is when it comes to making readers care about it is creating definitive positions. It's that empathy readers have for a character when they start saying, oh, I agree or disagree, or I can see what they care about. And then when you see those characters literally dealing with pushback on those positions and standing their ground or changing based on other factors, that's how we start getting people to care about those characters. It isn't just... Remember, backstory does not equate to reader liking character. Backstory is just information, it's a data. But how a character behaves and responds to what they stand for creates that actual emotional connection. Just something to think about. How long would you say it should take from starting the outline to having a book ready for publication? If I wasn't doing this 1 hour a week, because right now, technically I've worked 83 hours. So what is that? That's 2 weeks. I should be on my 3rd week, writing this. I'd be a lot farther, honestly, if I was just writing this on my own. But it really depends on the book. For nonfiction, I fly through those books. I can outline and write a nonfiction in 1 to 3 months. And then I got to do editing. The real issue comes when you have alpha and beta readers. Because how long would you say it should take from starting the outline to having a book ready? If you're waiting on your alpha and beta readers, again, if you have, say, 10 chapters, and it takes let's say just your alpha readers, all right, it takes them 2 weeks to get back, let's say 3 chapters. So now you need 2, 4, 6, you need 6 weeks just for those 10 chapters. So if you have 20 chapters, now it's going to take 12 weeks. And if you have 30, it's going to take 18. Okay, so that's just your alpha readers. This is why when you have alpha readers and or beta readers reading your chapters, you should be working on your next book. You should already be writing and working on whether it's outlining or not. If we get rid of the alpha and beta readers and we're just talking practicality, it really, again, depends on the size of the book and how often you write. So it isn't a matter of should take from start to, because it's different for everybody, right? But you should be learning what your logistics are. You should be learning how many words you can write in a session. You should be learning how long it takes you to do X, Y, Z. But again, the less work you have to do, like nonfiction is very easy to write if you already know the topic. Like the breaking down success books, like I lived that information for 20 plus years. Like I taught that, I consulted on it. I've learned it. I lived it. So writing those books is nothing for me. However, the fiction stuff, you have to go through those drafts, right? So I'll say this and then I'll move on. Spider-Man took 20 years. The first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, which didn't originally have Tobey Maguire, took 20 years to get to the screen. All right, Good Will Hunting took 10 years to clean up, write, and make it. It's not a matter of should it take. It's a matter of what you're doing and how you're using your time and how you're basically, again, when alpha readers, beta readers, and your editors are going through your book, you should be working on the next book and just keep yourself occupied in that sense. So that's a hard question to say a definitive number. You know what I'm saying? And I would almost agree that it would distract people from the reality of it, is that some books need work, some books are work, and some books just sort of flow out of you. For me, it's writing racism, realistic, and not a... Oh, yes, agreed. I actually, in the Death of a King, I don't have race, I have species. You know, like the Hamaran, the Valis, the Regans, the Akids. But there's something I did something fun with the Hamarans. There's two factions. Every single Hamaran in the world originates from some form of tribal clan. But there was a period where a lot of the Hamarans sort of left their homelands and they stopped worshiping, like, I call them mortal gods. They're like the lesser gods, and they became like assimilated into the cities and towns and larger megas, and they're still known as Hamarians, but they call the Hamarans that stayed on the plains and in nature, and they call them Sarvians. But the Sarvians call the Hamarans that moved into the cities and stuff the people of stone. But they're all the same people, but they hate each other because they're like, you gave up on your truth, your culture, and they're like, technology, we gotta move on. You know, I don't want to work all day. I want to live in a house. I want to make money. I want commerce. You know, I want ease. So it's interesting. I play with racism that way, where it's not necessarily, it's classism, I guess. But everyone has that nuance opinion. You know, some people are like, hey, you know, let them do whatever they got to do. But the Valis are the main species, and they look down on pretty much everybody. Also, my Akids hate elves, and elves I only have in my world because I don't like elves because they're always like perfect. So I specifically have elves so I can mess with that. One of my books completely stopped because I couldn't write it. You couldn't write it because you were writing the racism and trying to do it realistic, but it was coming out cartoonish, or the book itself, you're like, this is too much for me. I just had one plot element in one of my screenplays where all the characters all converge on one location, and that was crazy to paint. That's fair. That's fair. Especially because it's a screenplay and you get 90 to 120 pages. And like, you know, one of the things that really makes screenplays interesting is in a book you can sort of sit in moments. You know, like a chapter could be 3,000 words, and that's not a big deal in a fantasy or a sci-fi, right? In a thriller, they're more like 500 to 1,500 words. But in a screenplay, like once you start hitting like 5-6 pages, that's 5 to 6 minutes of screen time that you just dedicated to a scene. And like screenplays, you have to sort of say, how can I say what I need to say in 3 minutes or less? And that's why a lot of times scenes in like television and film, especially television, it's like two characters talking to one another, and they're like, these are my ideas and these are my oppositions, and then they're like, and they're like, what do we do next? And like they just move on to the next thing because you just have to, there's a time frame, right? But it's just interesting to look at screenplays versus books. Take him out. Sounds like someone beat you to it, Thomas. Take who out? Take who out? Take who out? I'm missing the context there. I think converging the plot lines in Act 3 is so awesome to do and be able to pull off. I agree. I think it's a lot of fun when you see all the pieces sort of coming together and it just pops into this one moment where you're like, everything is paying off. There's definitely a great feeling about that. How many weeks for 45 chapters? Just wondering for, I haven't had my story here. Well, again, it depends on how fast you write, how often you write, how long you write for. But me personally, depending on my schedule, I could write anywhere from 300 to 1,000 words a day if I'm writing fantasy. I could do almost 3,000 words a day for nonfiction because it's just coming out of my head. With that said, do the math. You know, I write every day. So if I do 300 words minimum a day, what's 3 times 7? It's 2,100 words. So if I'm averaging 2,000 words a chapter, give or take, it's going to take me, what is that? A week per chapter ish. So if it's 50 chapters, that's 50 weeks, right? So it might take you a week at a time. Though sometimes I write 1,000 words. Again, when I was writing the nonfiction, I flew through all 5 books. I just wrote it all as one big idea, and then I broke the idea into 5 books. And that didn't take me that long, maybe 3 to 6 months ish, because I went back and I edited it. So it really depends. My feeling to every writer out there, let me take away the word don't. Let me be more positive. Focus on what you are writing. It's more important that what you work on is at your speed and it's not a race. You're not trying to write faster than Stephen King. You're not trying to get out 30 books in a year. And if you see famous quote unquote, like Brandon Sanderson, if you think Brandon Sanderson is writing and releasing a book in 1 year, like 5 books in 1 year, you're wrong. What he's doing is what I said earlier. As things are going through stages, the alpha readers, he's working on another book. When he has his beta readers, continue, right? And he goes through these cycles, and then he gets the books back, starts his rewrites, which take a lot less time. And then when that's done, he'll give it back to his beta readers, because, you always do a second round of beta reading. And while that's happening, he's working on another book. But he also publicly has talked about, especially on his podcast, where, maybe 4 or 5 nights he works on his main story, and then 2 nights he works on a secondary story, or he splits it up. So you really have to create your own schedule, really, Cindy says, for Met writing software, emotions is difficult. After living with anger from my dad so much, I have suppressed the soft side of me. I mean, that's fair. I'm a very emotional writer. Like if I'm I'll cry when I'm writing stuff. I'll get angry. I'll feel like, yeah. Especially when you have like a life where you grow up dealing with bullshit. I totally get that, Cindy. I totally get that. Hey, Thomas, I'm writing right now. This is excellent. Let's give you a big applause for that. Aaron Jones. That's awesome. Congratulations, please. I'm so happy that you're writing. I really am. I love seeing that. The guy laid out in the ship. Oh, just kill the guy. I guess I can. Take him out. Sounds like someone beat you to it. I think I might just not have him in the ship. I don't know. He's gonna be an issue for the book. I'm still writing on my first novel. It's going well. I'm writing slowly. Can we change slowly to you're writing at your speed? Just stay focused on what you are doing, Aaron. And remember, it is not a race. It's not about, being a great writer isn't, I wrote, 4,000 words today. Being a great writer isn't, I wrote 2 books in 6 months. That's not necessarily what makes a great writer. Great writing is rewriting. So, if it takes you a little longer, it takes you a little longer. I was just looking at my notes the other day. My first book to get to the third draft of, not my first book, my first epic fantasy in the Maven Wars series. I've been writing that book for a long time. But here's the thing. The second book is flying by. And the reason is because that first book was originally one book. And I broke it up into 5 books. But as you start developing your process, you will get faster. But I don't think you should be writing to write fast. Just write the book. Let it come out as it comes out. And it'll be done when it's done, I've been trying to write every day during the week, but it's hard to do. That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying there's no definitive answer. If you write 100 words a week, fine. Even Sanderson said that when he used to write, he got a job where he had to work overnights at a hotel, and he would write his book when there was nothing going on. You know what I'm saying? I got 77,000 words out in just under 3 months. That's great in draft 0. And now my schedule has been so crazy. I've written 10,000 in 3 months. It happens. And honestly, I don't see a discrepancy there. You know what I'm saying? I don't see any issue. I don't think you did better with the 77,000 words in 3 months. You're going to have to write as you write. And that's important to really take on. All right, we did an hour today, but I heard someone say yesterday, it's not the time and watch you get something done. It is the fact that you get it done that makes it. Yes, correct, Chris. That's a fantastic. Yes. We're going to applaud that. Let's applaud that. I love it. That's excellent progress, Ashley. It totally is. Yeah, Ashley. Did I hit the applause for that? Because that's fantastic. It's fantastic. I've been listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger interviews. I like that philosophy, Chris. Yeah, it's a good philosophy. Very good. And also writing poetry, too. Looking for a publisher. My debut is in the wait. Yeah. Aaron, I'd love to see some of your poetry. Feel free to email me. When you are working to pay bills and unable to write full-time, it does take a while. And even full-time, it might be ready. This is the thing. If you are writing full-time, you're still not writing 8 hours a day. You're writing maybe 3 or 4 hours a day. Because the other 4 hours, you need to dedicate to marketing. And you have to dedicate to building your business. You got to dedicate to building those relationships. You got to have, you have to do those interviews. So there's just so much more to writing than writing, For yesterday and today, I've written. Hey, fantastic! Let's give you a big applause for that. That's awesome. There you go. But of course, poetry comes first, then the novel about 3 books later. I hope. Hey, you got to do as you do. Okay, I'll send you one, but I don't want you to cry. I promise you. Nothing. I may cry, and that's okay. If you don't have my email, you can just go to makearightleftheere.com. That's right. If you don't know, you can do it. You can go to makearightleftheere.com, go to contact page. You could email me through there. You also have to dedicate a big chunk of your time to procrastinate. Agree. All right, everybody. We got the poll. Which do you choose today? Let's see. We have 16 votes. If you haven't voted already, just know that there are 4 options. We have option 1, I choose number 3. Option 2, I choose number 4. Option 3, I choose number 2. And of course, option 4, none of the above. We will talk about that in a second, but I got to do my whole spiel. If you didn't know, you got to bloop that beard and bloop that like button because YouTube's algorithm loves it. Yeah, it's changed. It says retention is important, but also the videos that you click and watch and share and interact with will indeed create movement for this channel. And AI Thomas really appreciates it. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Robinson. Oh, Lost in Space. But I also have books available. Go to makearightleftheere.com. If you didn't know, I have 4 books. That's right. Well, actually, I got more. 27 plot point outline. If you're a pantser or a plotter, the first half of this book is all about understanding narrative and how it moves, so you can think about it when you are pantsing. But the second half is focused on the 27 plot point outline. And it basically gives you a real-time example and shows you how to outline. If you didn't know, I also have an epic fantasy. You can only read it currently per chapters on Patreon or Substack. They are identical. You got to go to the scribe tier on Patreon. The chapters are 0, 1st, and 3rd drafts before the polish. You get to look at some educational stuff as well. I explain my process and then give a lesson at the end of the information to sort of guide you on how you can do your own. That's right. I also have book 1 and book 2 in the Breaking Down Success series available currently. Feel free to purchase those if you're looking to be successful as a writer or an entertainer in the industry of your interest. Remember, there's always a beginning, middle, and end to your journey. You got to build your foundation. You got to find solutions for talent. And of course, book 3 will be coming out probably by the end of the year. And that's the 3 Needs of Success. 3 Needs of Success. If you want to learn how to write a narrative, remember you could watch this series. There's already like 15 or 16 videos in the series, How to Write a Narrative. Watch by joining the YouTube membership program, or you could just go to Patreon or Substack and join those. Again, there's like 15 or 16 videos. I got one more video coming out this week and maybe next week. I got to look at the schedule. After that, I will be adding a new course. If you didn't know, the first 3 videos are available for free for the How to Write a Narrative series. Other than that, I think that's it. We got everything. All right, let's go back to the poll. Oh, if the poll causes me to dance, does that make me a pole dancer? Hey-oh! Pole dancer. I've listed your videos I want to watch in order. Hopefully I will get to them. I can't just listen and do renos. I concentrate on the renos and I don't hear the videos. I'm the same way. If I'm working, I can't do the video. No, I appreciate that, Cindy. Always so much love from you. You know, you've been a supporter of the channel for a long time and a member, and it means a great deal for me. Trust me. Read Death of a King if you can handle it. You won't regret it. Sean, how far are you in that? What chapter are you on? Because I know I just released chapter 50 or something goes now. By the way, if you're reading Death of a King, it might behoove you to just read the 3rd draft version first, and then sort of go back and read the 1st draft and the 0 draft, just to see what the evolution looks like. But some people have told me they're just reading the 3rd draft. Some people are just reading the notes. It's a nice little option. By the way, if you join the Scribe tier on Patreon, you do get everything. You get the whole kit and caboodle. All right, the poll. What do we got here? Let's see. Whoa, in last place, number 2. I choose number 4. All right. I like that the least amount of people went for the second quickest route to the end. But it is interesting. It is interesting that we have 25% chose number 1, which means I chose number 3, which means you chose number 2, which means you chose number 4 to get to none of the above. Looks like most people chose none of the above, and that makes me happy. I don't think you understand how happy I am. Next week I will definitely have a better poll, but I was just trying to have fun this weekend. But Afghani hooked me up with next week's poll, so we'll definitely pop it. I have an upcoming book where the lines of poetry are not word for word from other poems and lyrics from songs that is not word for word. You think that book will be a bestseller? Aaron, I don't know if you've watched the channel before or this is your first video, and if it's your first video, I'm grateful you're here. If you've been watching for a long time, I'm even more grateful that you've been supporting it. This is my thought on that question. You think that book will be a bestseller? There are several ways to make a book a bestseller, and none of them have to do with the quality of your book. And I'll tell you why. Because if the quality of the book equated to success, you could literally write the book and then put it in your closet and then wait for people to knock on your door. Success, by the way, if you ever see top sellers like New York Times bestseller and there's an asterisk next to it, it means that book got up there because people bought bulk buys. So they manipulated the sales to get the book up there. So if you ever see an asterisk there, that means people bought a lot of books in bulk. Usually the publisher does that, or in some cases, the author or author's friends do that. The other way to create a bestseller is marketing, marketing, marketing. All right. So ultimately, you got to get out there and do interviews with podcasts, AM, FM radio, try to get on college radio. If you could do whatever you can to get on local broadcasting, I know there's local cable for most cities and states. The whole point is you have to try to get your brand out there. That leads to sales, which leads to bestsellerism. If you're Stephen King, you are not becoming a bestseller because you wrote a great, amazing book. You are becoming a bestseller because you're Stephen King. And, people are just going to buy that book in general. So to answer your question, do I think the book will be a bestseller? I don't know what your marketing is, and I don't know if you're doing interviews, and I don't know if you or anyone else has the money to do bulk sales. So I can't answer that question based on solely the product itself. That doesn't mean your product is good or bad. A great product can still fail if it does not do the right marketing. I hope that helps. I love questions like that, by the way. It's a great question. Have to admit, I haven't read Death of a King as much as I should. It's what happens when you are trying to make a 60-year-old home that hasn't been renos for 30 years just so you can make it your home. Cindy, no judgment over here. Look, it's going to be up there. It's going to be up there. You can read it whenever you want to read it. I like that you're reading the book, but, hey, life is going to life, and I know that. It's our childhood home, so there are some things my dad did that we want to keep. I love that. I love that. Let's get an applause for that. That's a lot of work. I didn't like any of my choices, so I picked none of the above. I love it. I love it. I'm only on chapter 20. Slow reader. Hey, no judgment here. I'm a slow reader too. When I read, it's like I don't even want to get through the words. No. But seriously, chapter 20. That's a what chapter is it? It's chapter 20. What's that? Oh, the trial of 5. Oh, you got the yes, the trial of 5. I do like that chapter. That's a fun chapter. Hornheads is next for you. That chapter is pretty dark. So, Sean, if I'm doing this poll in a bank vault after hours, I still am the bank robber, or am I a pole vaulter? I really like today's poll. It made me giggle. I'm definitely glad it did. That was the whole point. I wanted everyone to have fun today. Emma B, are you still online? I think she left. She's like, I'm done. But no, she's walking her doggies. All right. You gotta bloop that beard and bloop that like button. All right, it's that time of the show where we do another ad. Apparently, we're gonna do some of this. Answer audience questions. If you have a question about writing in general or your book, feel free to ask them. I am a developmental editor and a writing teacher, so it's basically free advice because it is. I've been trying to get my debut out for 2 years now. I need a publisher. I also have a stance on that. Whether you do publisher or not, you have to ask yourself, why a publisher? What's the point of the publisher? And what is the mindset of the publisher? Is having a publisher equal selling lots of books? Because there's a crazy stat out there about that. It's like only 3% of traditionally published people really make a successful sale. But you can self-published authors do very well. You can definitely self-publish, but it is work. Also, traditionally published authors still have to market unless you're a name or a brand, a developed brand. If you're a developed brand, they put a little bit of more money into your marketing. If you're not so much of a developed brand, they request that you put time into it, which means you need a publicist and or a PR team. So that's something to think about. I think you could do it though. You just got to keep submitting. You know, Emma B. All right. Again, if you have any questions, I got stuffy nose. Was it 3:30 almost? Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Uh-oh. When I'm finished my beautiful novel, what should I price it? It depends on the size of the book's format, and how big the book is. Though traditionally the size, the word count doesn't necessarily change the deep price of it. There are a couple things you could do. The first is look at books that are similar to yours in word count and size, or page count and size, because it'll show you the page count. And then you base it on that. If you want it to be a little bit more competitive, if you're just going on buy my book over this book, you would just charge a little less. At the end of the day, hardcovers are going to be worth more money than soft cover or the soft covers. I know that the market books are no longer, they're stopping those, right? The paperbacks. Ebook depends on if it is a self-help or nonfiction. That will, you can charge a little bit more for those than a fiction book. However, on top of that, at the end of the day, if it is a poetry book, it would be less money. Usually they charge a little less money for that. The exact price, I can't give that to you without the logistics, you know, like the books, if it's going to be a 6x9, if it's going to be, you know, whatever. Me? No. With a traditional publisher, there is still a lot of work you have. Yeah, for sure. They don't do as much as they used to. Also, chances of being accepted low because they have reduced manuscript editors. My only pushback on that is that if you do have a brand, if you do have the numbers, they will put time and money into you. Also, if your book starts selling and it's doing very well, they will lean into it and they will help with they'll do ads and stuff like that. But they do mostly ask you to do a lot of the work. If you have a limited amount of time to market your book, what would be the top 3 things you would suggest to get the most eyes on you? Interviews, 100% interviews. Get interviews. That is the number one thing you should be doing. Interviews. The second thing that you should be doing if you have limited time for marketing is, what is your expertise? That doesn't mean you have to educate or teach people anything, or you have to talk about writing. But if you're writing a romance book, your expertise would be in what you like in romance and what you don't like in romance. Your expertise would be your journey as a writer and what you're dealing with, the trials and tribulations, not the buy my book, I have a book, or here's my book. It's more important to talk about the journey and the adventure of writing that book. That's the second thing you should do. Record that. You don't have to do it every day, especially in the beginning, but just focus on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. It really does help because people will connect to you with empathy. The third thing, and really finally, is ultimately hire a PR company. It's the most expensive option. It is. I have a third because you should do it if you can afford it. But if you don't have time to market, they do a lot of that. The publicists or PR, usually they're the same company. PR is public relationships. Publicists help with getting interviews and stuff like that, but they also help with getting, like, ads on you and stuff like that. But there you go. Those are my 3 tops. The first 2 are probably the easiest ones you could do right now. I know $1,500 to $20,000 a month is a lot of money for a PR or a publicist, but if you're selling the books, they are helpful. So I hope that helped. Don't Amazon and Kobe have their own pricing based on certain things? Yes and no. There is a minimum requirement for pricing because it has to cover the print sale, and then there's a minimum requirement for certain pricing for certain ebooks. There are minimum requirements, but as far as what you should charge, there's really, you can't just be like, it's $10. No interviews. Emma, you're doing great with interviews. Keep them coming. You're doing wonderful. And you look like you're having a lot of fun with them. I got to get you on and do another interview with you. So what you're saying is they would go for indie published books, and then you would become yeah, sure, you can, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with a hybrid publisher. I'm trying to go traditionally published for the noir book, but I am comfortable with being a self-published author for my nonfiction, which is the Breaking Down Success series, mostly because it is what it is. As far as the fantasy, once I have the 5 books done, I'll see where I'm at career-wise, where my brand is at, and if I have the numbers to basically get traditionally published. I do not see any devalued reality to self-publishing. I have been a business owner my whole life, almost, basically since I started my band in '97, and I was a comic artist, illustrator. I've been a business owner, so I'm comfortable with being a business owner, and being an author is a business. Writing is the byproduct of that business. It is not the actual work of the business. Offering a copy or a book to get interviews and or reviews. So you can, if you have the money to do that. If you don't, I would recommend just sending a PDF and go, hey, can you you want to do an interview with me? Here's the PDF of it. Reviews. This is my feeling on reviews. They're opinions. You need reviews when they're organic, but I don't think when they're they're just people that like do the review. It might not be as beneficial for you, because there's a chance they're going to be like, they sent me this romance book, and I don't read romance. I hate romance. And all it was kissy stuff, and it was all gooey. I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. And you're like, all right, well, this person should have never had the opportunity to do reviews. But I recommend interviews because it creates an opportunity for people to hear your positions. They hear what your thoughts are. They hear your expertise. And again, expertise is not, these are 3 things that help you with marketing, or 3 things that help you with writing a first chapter. Expertise is just a thing that you are an expert in, whether it is your own journey, your trials and tribulations, what you like and don't like within your genre. And some people will agree with you or disagree. And that is where they start developing a relationship with you, which is how readers develop a relationship with your characters. They see the character making choices, and they either agree or disagree with that choice. And it's why in Game of Thrones, people went from thinking Jaime Lannister was disgusting to being like, I like Jaime Lannister. And then, obviously they were like, forget his arc. Let's get him back with Cersei, right? But not a lot of people like Cersei. She was definitely the villain. But Daenerys had a back and forth as well. People were like, oh, I agree with her. And then they were like, whoa, she just killed everybody. So the same way we develop relationships with our characters, whether you're a reader or a writer, is the same way people develop relationships with you as an author. They slowly learn about who you are through your positions, not your backstory. If I tell you I'm a Sicilian New Yorker from Long Island and Brooklyn is on Long Island, both my parents are the Italians, and I like a pizza. You're not really learning anything about me. But if I talked about certain things or gave an opinion on certain things, that's when you'll start having, right? Because that's where the stereotype, hey, he's Italian, he does the hand thing, he wears gold jewelry, he likes the pastas. We can't really develop a relationship with that. We are I don't like Italians, they eat a lot of pasta, right? I like Italians, especially if they're eating pasta. But it is actually the deeper stuff that is what connects us. That's why interviews. You are absolutely welcome. Great question. I'm glad you asked it. Hey, Emma B. I have a question. I wrote a scene that I would like you to review, but I wanted to ask before I did anything. It's 675 words. Review. Emma B. All right, all right, all right. I'm doing both debut books, of course. Should I do poetry, then a novel second? It really depends on what you're looking to do with your author brand. At the end of the day, I released a poetry book for my first book, but I did not market that book, or nor did I send like, nor was I like, I'm a poet. It was a book that I wrote because I had just beaten cancer, and I was in the screenwriting industry and I was entertainment, and I was like, I always wanted to publish a book. I have all these poems. People like my poems. I have a fan base from not only my music career, but my comedy career and then my acting career. And I was like, let me put all my poems together like a collection of. I'll put a whole bunch of my lyrics from my music days together, and then I'll do a lot of philosophical thoughts through the character Telmore Naltanian, which is both connected to the music and the fantasy world. And I just sort of released that sort of like a checklist. However, my first book was the Breaking Down Success book. That was the one I published. So I'm also trying not to be a nonfiction guy. I don't want people to look at me. I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and I have an array of expertise, an array of certain things. Like the 27 plot book outline, it's selling like really well. I sell copies almost every day, every other day. So to answer your question directly, should you do poetry and then a novel? It comes down to what you're looking to do for your career and which one you want to be known for. I don't think you should change your name. I know some people do, like, I'm a poet, so I'll use, TJB for this. And for my novels, I'll do Thomas J. Bullet. No, I don't think you should do. I think you should focus on your brand. But again, how are you going to market it? How are you going to present it? That's really where you got to come down to. Honestly, though, most people do release the poetry first, but if your novel is where you want to be, I would release the novel first, and then the poetry book sort of as like a hey, I also have a poetry book kind of thing. I'm a beloved. I'd love to see some of your art. Me art? Do I have? Do I have? I mean, my Facebook has art from a long time ago. Let's see. You want to see a picture from? I think this is from 1997. Let's see. I'll put a picture on the screen. Let's see. Thomas J. Bellezza artwork. Thomas J. Bellezza. Where's my artwork? Oh, drawings. Interesting. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Been a while. I haven't drawn in a long time, so these are old. These are old. Let's see. Artwork. Do, 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 do. Alright, here we go. Home is where the heart is. Alright, here you go. You ready? Do it. Artwork. Boop. This is old. This is I think this is 97 I did this. 97 or 98. I don't know. I did it in my room as like sort of like a I wanted to draw one of the characters from my game. Anyway, there you go. There's a little something, something. Anyway. And then I did this one. This one is from 19. I think this is 95. It's old. I think this is 95. This is 95. I did this in 1995. That's really old. The character on the bottom with the two guns, his name is Tentative. See, I always use like words as like names. Dingo is the guy up right, and then the guy to the top left, he's known as the Savior. And then all right, maybe I'll do one more. And this one is also from 97 because the date is on the bottom. I did this a long time ago. Ignore the guy in the back. The satyr is the one that's important. Satyr. I think that's it. Hey. Old artwork. Old. My friend's husband was just put on comfort care, waiting. So sad. She is beside. Oh my God. Yeah. No. Of course. My heart goes out for you. Yeah. That's terrible. I wish I could give them hugs. I really do. I'm sorry that they're dealing with that. What kind of scene? Email? What else? Withdrawing all care for treatment. I mean, yeah. I remember when my father chose that. He was like, just, I'm done. Because he couldn't breathe, He had the at 100% oxygen for his respirator, and he still couldn't really hold a breath. It was ridiculous. You were just saying that published usually like numbers. Only way to get numbers is to indie publish. 0 enter contest. I don't believe you should really enter contests, but numbers as in. I was just watching a thing where somebody got rejected. And it was because their Instagram numbers were lower than 2,000 or something ridiculous like that. It's less about the numbers and more about the interaction. So if people, this is the thing. You have to have a demand that you could supply. So when I was in the music industry, my mentor, who very, very wise man, he was the ex-president of Epic Records, and he used to say, he showed me, I don't know if I told this story before. I was in his office and my brain was like, I'm the greatest guitarist in the world. My band's amazing. Right? I was an idiot. Anyway, he goes, do you know what kind of bands I sign? I go, what? He goes, bands that are business people. And that's why you're in my office today, because you understand how to market and brand. And that is the only reason I talked to you when you saw me at the show, because you gave me a CD and the CD said thegreatestband.com. And when I said, is this true? You said, absolutely. I have yet to listen to that CD and I will not listen to your band, but I had asked you to come in because that's what sells music. Right? And I said, oh, he goes, in fact, I signed this band, and he put a tape in. Yes, I'm that old. There was a cassette tape. He goes, I signed this band based off of this tape. He put the tape in, and it was a recording from the garage. It was like a one microphone recording in a garage. That's what it was. And they were just, you couldn't even understand the lines. And I go, why are you signing them? He goes, because I didn't know better. He goes, because I hear the raw emotion, and they had the cojones, he said balls, to send me this. I called them up, and they have a plan, and I want that plan. And I signed him off of that plan. So when it comes to numbers and publishing and music or anything that you're going to do, remember, it's about creating a demand so you can supply it. Because he used to say to me, he goes, your band is really good. Because he ended up seeing us play. We did a showcase show, and he was at the showcase show for us. I put it together and asked him to come. And he did it as a favor for me. Anyway. He was like, your band is really good. The problem is it's so good that now you can't open up for bands, right? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, you don't have the demand that like says Metallica has, but Metallica got kicked off of Ozzy's tour. That's right. Metallica toured with Ozzy back in the day, and they actually got kicked off the tour because the audience was there to see Metallica, and Ozzy closed the show. So they had to break off, and they started headlining their own tour. And it's because they created such a demand. And you go, how did they do that? Well, they hung out. They went to every local show they could do. They played local shows, but they hung out with everyone afterwards. They were known as the party band. They had a house that they rented that was garbage, and they would just have parties there all the time. So they built such a relationship that word got out all the way to New York. The guy from New York who was I forget the name of the Metallica's first record label. I think it was Megaforce Records. The guy, I think he sold his house or mortgaged his house. Anyway, he came out to LA or wherever it was. I think it was LA. And because of a tape called No Life to Leather or whatever. And he met the guys and he's like, I want to invest in you guys. And he created Megaforce. Megaforce Records was created for Metallica through this one guy. John and Marsha Zazula. Anyway, my point is demand creates movement. And this isn't just for Cindy, by the way. I'm just saying this in general. The other thing that's really scary about that, and I've seen this a lot. I've seen it in the music industry. I've seen it in the comedy industry. I've seen it in the acting and writing and producing industry for like film and television. If somebody sees you have something they can make money off of, they're going to invest in you. They're going to siphon everything out of you. And then once you're done, they're going to push you to the side. So your job, if you get that opportunity where they see your movement and they want to invest in it, your job is to create diversity in your income, but also create diversity, meaning, here's an example. Kevin Hart, probably a bad example because he's dealing with a lawsuit right now. But Kevin Hart was a comedian. Once he started developing his career and his relationships, he then created a production company, Diversification. Then he started doing projects through that production company. Brad Pitt is the same example. He created Plan B with Jennifer Aniston. They ended up parting ways, whatever the case is, because they got divorced. Plan B was, I'm going to now produce projects through Plan B. So as a writer, you should be thinking about that too. As you go up in your career, as your career expands, you should be thinking beyond just, I write books. And anyway, I could go on about this all day. I love the business side of it all. I sent it, Emma. Nice. Oh, you're talking about the photos? Fantastic. I appreciate that. Thanks for that advice. Aaron, anytime. I love answering questions. It's part of it's the joy. It's the joy. Oh, thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. I like them. I appreciate it. Digging your style. Yeah, it's comic book-y, because that's where I drew. Somebody once asked me to go to like a, draw the nude model kind of thing. And I was like, I draw comic books. But the artist that I was, friends with, and we went, she was amazing. Like, she could do anything when it came to art. But she's like drawing this person. And it looks like the person. And I'm like, I can't do that. And she's like, well, just draw her. And I just drew the person as a comic book character. And I was like, all right. Because I spent so much time just working on just being a comic artist. Anyway, good times. All right, what are we doing? All right, we did good today. Anything else? Oh, I said it yesterday, but I'll say it again because why not? This week, let's see. What is today? Oh, all right. So today is the 9th. Wednesday the 12th. Wednesday's video will be a video on a writing exercise, basically a collaboration exercise, how to get involved in your community with writing. So that should be fun. April Davila. I had a real good time interviewing her. It will be another interview on Friday. And of course, I'm going to keep it anonymous unless the person wants to let themselves be known. But I will be doing another first chapter analysis. We're going to try to get through the phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. If they don't pass phase 1, I'll still go through and do phase 2 and 3. But it will be a developmental edit in real time, basically, analyzing the chapter and giving some notes. And then, of course, Sunday will be the write a book with me. Next Saturday, I will be analyzing Lee Child, and I'll be analyzing a Reacher book, Bad Luck and Trouble, a book by Lee Child, which is, by the way, a fake name. He made that name up. He made that name up because you are. Okay. Let's see. Everyone has their own art style. You are good at yours. I appreciate that, man. I really do, Chris. I appreciate that. Yeah, I haven't drawn in a long time. I wonder what it would even look like. I used to draw all the time, though. All the time. What does your schedule look like for developmental editing, and when do you suggest starting that? Well, I am very picky with who I take on, so I have a schedule. I have an opening. I have spots. When do I suggest? I said this yesterday to Afghani. Afghani asked the same question. I think developmental editing relationship should start at the outline, but if you already wrote the outline, if you've already wrote a zero draft, I think it's important to come in as soon as possible, because my job as a developmental editor is to read through everything and make sure everything is connecting. I'm looking for the invisible stuff before the prose are pretty, polished, and all sexy. My goal is to make sure that the characters are working with the plot. Ultimately, a narrative is made of plot and story. Plot is what needs to happen no matter what. And story is how it unfolds, how the plot unfolds through the emotional experiences and choices of your characters. So that's what I'm looking for as a developmental editor. Any suggestions starting that? If you're interested in working with me, Ashley, I'm always around. You just let me know when you want to start and we'll make it happen, okay? Good. But I can start at any time, by the way. If you have the third draft done, I could do it. But we'll be reverse engineering it ultimately. I took a figure drawing class. Yeah, that's what it was. A figure drawing class. That's right. I'm sure my face was red the whole time. I did get better at drawing, though. This is the way I look at it. I'm very comfortable with nudity. Like I literally have done comedy at a nudist colony. Like I got booked for it. And they're like, and I was like, do I have to be nude? And they're like, you don't have to be, but you can be. And I was like, I'll do it clothed because I'm gonna be on stage, and I'll do comedy and not make. But nudity is beautiful. It's the sexuality we place upon it that makes it kind of like, hey, what are you doing, buddy? But I think I like the idea that we can look upon each other as people and not be like, you know what I'm saying? Nudity is beautiful. So, but I can understand red face. I get it. Not that this has much to do with writing, but I want to say at 47 years old, I am having a blast learning guitar. I love it, Sean. I love it. My guitar is right here. It's an acoustic, though. I keep my electric hidden. And I haven't used it in so long that it has a sheet of dust on it. So please play guitar for both of us. You are never too old to try something new. Agreed. Well, wait, let me take that back. I'm not going to do skydiving. Lee Child, why is that your arch enemy? Is it because he got laid off and then was like, I guess I'll write a book? He got laid off from his TV job. He's like, I'll write a book, and his first book was a hit. Is that? I don't understand. Why is Lee Child your arch enemy? This was great, Thomas. Thank you. I'm so glad. I hope that definitely helped. I love giving advice, and I'm always trying to be as supportive as I can. But I also understand the reality of the industry and the situation. I used to be very art driven, and I learned that I could be completely artistic on its own merit without ever worrying about the business. But I was taught by many mentors that changed the way I looked at everything from my music career on. Once I'm done with the art, I need to have my business brain, and they are two different worlds. Even in producing, like when I was dealing with producing film or television or talking with studios, they never ever wanted to read a script. When that first happened, that blew my mind. I was like, this has to be an anomaly. Because every single person that was not successful who was writing or wanted to be a writer or whatever in the screenwriting business was saying, you have to have a perfect script. And you have to spend all this time on a screenplay, and then you submit your screenplay, and that's what gets you to the top. I had 6 studios interested in my television show, The Circle. And this is around when I got cancer, so that all fell apart. But not one of them wanted to read the script. But I did do a campaign, a marketing campaign. We did a crowdfunding campaign to raise money for it. Then when the campaign was over, I gave everyone their money back because I used the campaign to create a marketing push that elevated us on IMDb. My production company, BBR Production, went woo! We were like in the top 15. It was crazy. The company, like there's a number scale. And then the Circle project was like huge. And it also went high. So everyone was looking into it. People wanted to, I was in the newspaper. We didn't film anything. Right? We had a full season of scripts because, you know, you always have to have them. But not one studio looked at my screenplay. The only studio that ever looked at a screenplay was MGM, and that was because I went directly through like a cleaner, like a script cleaner, and he handed it to his boss, and his boss was like, "This is really great. Can I see the next one?" What I learned through the MGM was they are going to rewrite it. And that's why your script doesn't matter. And when I see screenwriters just focusing on making a screenplay perfect, Pretty Woman was originally called $3,000. Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts was originally called $3,000. There was a bidding war for this script, which was crap, by the way. And Disney ended up outbidding everyone. Disney outbid everyone for a script called $3,000 based on a heroin addicted prostitute, and somebody gets shot and dies. Somebody has an overdose. Disney bought this script. Anyway, Disney then fired the screenwriter who wrote it and hired their own screenwriters to rewrite it, keeping the core concept intact. The screenplay sucked. They ended up hiring Gary Marshall. And Gary Marshall said, why don't we get the original writer back? They hired the original writer back. He came in. He rewrote the script. They said it's still terrible. They fired him again. Then they hired another person to come in, rewrite the script. Do you know what they ended up filming? You can watch this. There's a documentary on it. Gary Marshall mainly wrote that movie through improv. He filmed a scene that had a concept. They had like a through line. And he said, hey, why don't we try some stuff? Pretty Woman. I love that movie. But it is mostly improv based on a script that had nothing to do with the Disney era style that you saw on the screen. So, when it comes to all the advice and like you have to have this and you have to have this. This is why I love the business side of it, because what we think the business is not the business until you are in the fray. The stuff I learned in the music industry, which is, by the way, far different now than when I was 20 years ago. But even the publishing industry is way different when you're inside it. When I got into the acting world and the producing world, everything I thought I knew that everyone around me told me about was shattered. When I first got into acting, the advice was get headshots, get a reel, do as many plays. You got to do as many plays as possible. You got to get on stage, man. Okay? Every single acting gig I got, they never looked at a headshot. They never looked at a reel. They never cared what my resume said. When I worked on SNL, it was an introduction. Relationship got me into SNL multiple times. All right. When I worked on Vinyl, I think I did 3 episodes, right? But you blink and you miss me. No headshot, no reel, no resume. The problem is people take advantage of people who who have that love, that passion, where they're like, I want to do this thing. I want to do this thing. And they just absorb you and they will make money off you and they'll spit you out. So you have to understand the business so you could start creating opportunities and diversify your money and stuff like that. Because the reality is, as an actor, they said, oh, I have a friend who takes headshots and I get money every time I refer. You need to get headshots. If you're an actor, you need headshots. Oh, I have a friend who does reels. It's like $1,000, $1,500. You need reels. Go. Oh, you need class. You have to take acting classes. Oh, I have a friend who will give me a referral. You need to take acting lessons. It's the same thing in the comedy world, same thing everywhere. But once you're in the industry, everything you thought you knew changes. Sorry, I could go on and on forever about this stuff. I'm very passionate about this stuff. I am so passionate about the misconceptions of the industries. That's why I wrote the Breaking Down Success series books. I do not like seeing people get taken advantage of. I saw it a lot. Is the only reason I even started my company was to start getting people to work together so we can start breaking those misconceptions. It's crazy. I want to know why he's the arch enemy too. I still want to get on the schedule someday soon. When you say schedule, do you mean to submit work for the live Saturday real time, or are you saying you want to work with me and have me develop your project? I'm always available. Good for you, Sean. I would like to learn how to play piano, so I'm thinking getting a roll-up keyboard. Do it. I like guitar, but my dad made it embarrassing, so I quit. Oof. Your papa, he's a strunza. Piano was my first instrument. First thing I ever learned was dun, 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 dun. The A-Team was the first thing I ever learned on the piano. I rented his parents' house. Oh, that's right. Yes. I remember you saying this. I rented his parents' house, and when they passed away, Lee and his brother decided to sell, and I remember that. Thomas is a hot commodity. No. No. Not sure I should laugh or be sad, Emma. I like his masterclass. He did have a really good masterclass. You're talking about the masterclass, right? Yeah. Is it okay if I email you with questions about your pricing? Absolutely. Feel free. Yeah, give it good. And because you are on the YouTube membership, you get a discount. I was preparing for skydiving when I got pregnant with my son. Safe to say, I will not be doing that 25 years later. Chris, wise decision. The problem with skydiving is the ground hurts. The ground hurts. That's what I'm saying. Raising a child is like skydiving. Though I didn't. I'm pretty sure that's what my parents thought, and it wasn't that much trouble. That's true. Big Trouble in Little China. Love that movie. Is one of my favorite screenplays, and the original premise was completely reworked by W.D. Richard. Writer. Was hired on a script as writer to expand and read. Yeah, it happens all the time. The creation of Big Trouble in Little China is fascinating. That is a great movie. There are 0 notes to that movie, even though there's some like cheesy stuff and you know, if you look at it today, you might be able to be like, eh. That movie is a 10 out of 10. I love that movie. The script is amazing. The POV is a fish out of water. So good. And he is capably ignorant. Like he's incapably capable or capably. He can do stuff, but he's not great. And like the person that is great is like the side character. So it's so good, so good. But yes, every single screenplay that you know of, they're going to rewrite it. They're going to rewrite it. They're either going to license the right to that screenplay and then sort of have their people touch it, or what I learned, by the way, the Ghost Productions, focus on treatments. If you have tons of treatments, you're going to get further with treatments than you are with screenplays. Why? Rule 101 about screenwriting. You want to get paid to write the screenplay. So the treatment leads to a production company and or a studio or somebody who wants to buy it from you, where they go, I'll pay you to write it. Now, if you're part of the union, and please don't take offense to this, I'm assuming you're not a part of the union. You need like credits and numbers, and every screenplay you write, every rewrite you do, like you can gain points. So if you could actually keep track of everything you've done that has been produced, whether it's on the internet or not, you can actually probably, if you're interested in becoming a part of the screenwriting, you can apply for those points. Anyway, get paid. Wow, the premise for Pretty Woman is so different than when I came out. Yes, it is. Wait, the fact that Disney fought. They fought a bidding war. There was a massive bidding war for a screenplay by a guy who never wrote a screenplay. It was just, he had screenplays, but he was like a nobody. And it was just this one screenplay that was going everywhere. And it was just a happenstance that somebody even decided to look at the screenplay and represent him as an agent. But the fact that Disney fought people for a script that literally had a heroin overdose in it is crazy. I also have a friend who takes headshots. They call him a Nutcracker. Oh, now he remembers. I remember. I do remember. You gotta remember. You gotta nudge me. I want to meet your my mentee. But when my budget allows, about to go on a trip. You go on that trip. Oh, you want me to be your mentor? Let's do it. I'm always happy to mentor people. Got to jump off. Meeting starting in a minute. Go have fun, my friend. Always a pleasure. Yeah, Big Trouble in Little China was originally a Western set in San Francisco. He reworked it to be like the kung fu inspired cheesy. Yeah, we couldn't do that today. There's no way someone like him could write Big Trouble. Or the directors. Ooh, all right. Oh, look at that. It's 2:00. All right. I told you, I get impassioned and I can talk about this stuff all day. That movie is insane. It's also the inspiration for Mortal Kombat. By the way, Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, the remakes, both terrible films. The original Mortal Kombat, so much fun, even though Christopher Lambert, a Frenchman, playing a Chinese god. Bad casting, great casting. Now you will die. Okay. That's it. I think we're done. We did it. We did it all today. Big Trouble in Little China also feels like the 80s. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is also 10 out of 10. And then parents were so mad that there was violence and fighting and that they made the second, The Secret of Ooze, and that was it. That first movie, though, was so good. So good. Have a good night. Yeah, Chris, I'm out. We are out. Let's get out of here. Remember, life is short, so enjoy those around you. Live, laugh, and love. I'm Thomas J. Bellezza. As always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next weekend. Arrivederci. Ciao, Bella. Bye.